Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from Escambia Lakes Goat Refuge Lake here on April the 15th, 2026. And yeah, there's a little goat hiding underneath there. Comfy little place for it. But up on top, we've got none other than Steffi with her little son, Trumpster, born on Election Day. And her little baby goat from this last winter, Brownie. Little Trumpster. Look at that little bitty. He was born the winter before last, so he's just over a year old. Now, little Brownie was one of two, the survivor she is, and she is incredible, folks. She is so strong, and she's been a bit of an orphan on the side of the feeding for much of her life so far because Steffi was not up to the speed of providing the milk for her. She was undernourished from the winter, even though she's had plenty of good feed. There was a condition with her where she needed to recover a bit, and indeed now she's recovered and she's given milk. I actually saw Trumpster a year later getting some milk from her the other day, so she's recovering great and she's doing this fine, just fine. And she was an orphan herself when her mother, grandmother of Brownie, the second here, Brownie, had passed away, who was a precious little orphan that I acquired up near Springfield, Missouri, with the invasive plant eradicators back in, it must have been 2018. And Steffi is her surviving daughter, the orphan who I cared for, and she's got these wonderful family going here, folks, with little Trumpster and little Brownie. These are precious goats to us, folks. Very precious to us. We're fighting for their lives out here. We're so glad that they've survived. Many others haven't made it due to the evil killer dogs there. The evil is in the people who sent them to us and brought them right here to the goat refuge to kill us. And it's not just killing goats, it's killing our missions, killing me as a person, driving me down low, folks. I mean, driving me almost to absolute destruction. At age 64, going on 65, it's elder abuse. There are evil people here, folks, in the form of hunters and meth heads who sick their dogs on us and want us gone. They want to take back these lakes where the president of their club had full reign, had his huts for little hunting, shooting houses and all, and where they fished, and where they were so angry, folks, when we came here. Look, I didn't come here in a hate campaign against hunters. I came here in a love campaign for my goats, and a saving campaign for them, an enabling campaign for them to have a life after working over 20 years down in Central Florida in various industries. I acquired goats with a hypothesis on the invasive plant, public enemy number one, the Brazilian pepper tree. I was, with my organizations, extremely successful in proving that they can be excellent in the management of invasive plants in the state of Florida, which is a huge multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar value proposition. Those invasive plants cause so much trouble. We did good work. We discovered a lot during that contract and that work down there in our first jobs. And we discovered this land up here because there was no land down there for us, folks. Not with our means. We found this land, and we are so grateful for this land. We love this land. We love all the different plants that grow here, every single little shrub and bush and vine, every single little piece of grass and flower and all the trees. We love this place so much. But we've been subjected to some human absurdity that is just outrageous. And how do I articulate around this? How do I know what I'm talking about in relation to other humans of the world? Unlike many of these people here at my age, I've actually been in places of the world. I speak multiple languages. I've traveled many countries. I've had interest in these things. Okay? And I've been there, and I've experienced people of different backgrounds, and I've experienced true hospitality. We hear about Southern hospitality. I've been in parts of the world where the hospitality would blow your mind. We're traveling on a night train into a foreign country. I'm invited to stay at the home of the people. The young people, their parents, the grandparents, everybody. I was good people, they were good people. I've always believed in hospitality and true generosity. I've strived for it as some of the ideals in my life. Why did I even go to those countries and stay in those countries for 15 years? Setting foot in the U.S. only a couple rare times during those periods of time? It's a lot about the human factor, folks. And I'm going to tell you something. In the last couple days, I've spoken with some really great people here, folks. And they know what I'm talking about. There are some just bad ones here, and they try to get in control and manage things in a certain way, like dictators, like communist dictators, which is what I fought against in the Cold War. And the following years was a lot of the work I did in strengthening, building, breaking away from them, building the free market economy around the ideals of capitalism and democracy and freedom, and breaking away from that police state. Polizeiní Staat. The police state. We don't use that term here. They don't seem to understand that communism is the police state. Here they don't understand. Republicans get into power, and we're supposed to be against the police state, against communism, and they don't seem to get that. They seem to try to go the other way and think that the police should rule everything and determine all terms and get business contracts and all. Well, that's exactly what communism was. So we want to talk politics. Give some time. Get me on a forum with various leaders in your society in front of the public, and we'll talk about it. Okay? And I'm no expert. I don't want to be in politics. Okay? But I understand politics as a human being, as a business person, as a philanthropist, as a person that is striving to provide an environment that's just absolutely wonderful for these precious animals. And for the people who love them, and for the people who love nature, the people who truly care about this, folks. And then you get a guardian dog like Ron in here, precious animal is here guarding these animals all night long. He's out doing his duty, barking at predators that are down there in that swamp, barking at something that comes on the road, barking at something that flies in the sky, barking at something that roars, barking at a train that roars in the distance. Yet he's the gentle giant. He would never harm anyone. There's never a growl or a bite out of him unless it's extremely provoked. He's saved my life a couple times from killer dog attacks in the last few months as the hunters and meth heads stepped up the attacks. He's now been run over by a vehicle and all our money depleted with veterinarian expenses. And I know you might find this absurd, but we haven't even got an x-ray. We paid all that money but didn't even get x-rays. So I was on the way to get x-rays with $300 of the Social Security money, and it all at a low during the year with cash flow. Usually there's flow and there's expending on conflict. There's money being spent all the time out here on things. Tens of thousands of dollars. I got the bank statements to show it. But we were at a low, and that $300 was possibly going to be paid right then at the video. It was going to be paid. But he just moves it a little into the stick shifter, knocks out the drive shaft in the Jeep, screeching halt. And wow, what an emergency, folks. I've been tearing apart the transmission, got the wrong part from a local shop, delaying me further days as I've ordered parts online. Long story short, parts should be here in maybe 2-3 days, maybe in the early next week. And I'm gonna try to get that damn Jeep going because it's just killing us right now. I need to be in the town. I work in construction industry to pay for everything out here. There's not enough income from any growing crops or anything out here yet. There could be, but we were not included in the government programs for specialty crops and such, which is a big feature we're bringing up real soon. We had an interview on that today. It was all Biden administration money that was handed out, billions of dollars, and they totally cut us out, saying we're invalid. They targeted us on that, right? Didn't recognize our crops at all, didn't recognize us, and don't really care. So we're learning right now that we're not going to pursue that government money. It's most likely right now that we will really ban it. Not any try for it. It's not worth the hassle, and it's not on target. It's not for natural and organic. Actually, it's not. We may still go with the National Organic Program and get some of our produce certified organic, but all the other expense and everything, investment, it looks like we're going a different way with that. So yeah, I've got different topics today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. But get to know who we are, what we really care about, folks. I'm hoping it's what you care about. Just look at these precious little goats. To many people out here, they're nothing but a slaughter, a bleed out, a piece of meat in a freezer, a piece of meat hanging, then in a freezer, and then in their belly after making some stew. Founder of that club out here, the hunting club that harassed us, told me personally right out here what he had done. You see right over across that lake, about right over there in them trees, that's right where the junction between the Tupelo Swamp is and the older growth woods. He told me, and I believe it, he was hiding right in there watching me and one of our members, a woman from Melbourne in Palm Bay, one of our team members from down there who's helped with the goats so much over the years down there. He was spying on us right here from the shore. We were over here, camping over here in a tent, and then working up in here. For 2 weeks, he was spying on us. And he told me right over in these woods here, on 2 occasions when I met with him out here, and I was buying honey from him and talking to him, trying to get, a good relationship going with these guys. He was the leader. He told me to my face as he's looking at my goats. He told me, I just imagine bleeding that goat out. Look, I'm not going to be able to exactly say it the way he did, but it was that. He's wants to bleed the goat out. He imagined it. He was savoring the taste of the blood. Well, what's ensued over the past 6 years has been absolute cruelty against animals, against me personally, against my missions, against all who we are, because they're so angry that they lost these lakes. There's 2 other lakes over on the other property. That president had his hut on both properties, on the Florida property on the other side of the woods, and over here in the corner on that Alabama property here. All right, folks, I need to go feed some pups right now, some guardian dog pups, and it's getting dark. I also have some automobile repair work to do, but it's getting too dark for that, so I'm setting up for the morning work. There's so much to do. I've got any single day, there is health care being done for goats and dogs. Expert care. You can't care for this many goats on these lands without knowing what you're doing, and it means continual learning. You might not have credentials officially as a veterinarian, but you are going to learn things that when you query a real veterinarian, they're not even going to know what you know. They're not even going to be able to do what you do. They're definitely not available for it. Weekends, nights, every day of the year, and they want to charge you a human's arm and a leg, or at least a dog's arm and a leg. But you can't afford that for 50 times 4, 200 goat legs, arms and legs. You won't be able to afford a veterinarian. That's why, if you don't know about this, please just check into it, and you can go on Facebook groups too and find huge groups of goat people and get to know goat people, and you'll find out that they need to know how to care for the health of the goats at veterinarian class levels on many topics. Now, we know we can't do the surgeries, the more in-depth things like them. Clear. That's why we try to have a veterinarian relationship with some out there that might actually care for these animals. And we have one here. We have others in different areas, further down in Florida, where we consult one. We do have a local one where we can actually carry animals in and such. It's taken a lot of searching, and there's a lot of bad ones, because they make huge money off cats and dogs, and they're not, don't even know what they're doing with goats for the most part. It's all about proactive, preventative, and reactive activities, folks. The scheduling, planning. For instance, we have to check their eyelids frequently, because if they start to get pale, we have a chance to save them from an anemic situation coming on through internal parasites or possibly external parasites, possibly lice. So these are all things we check for, and our standards are 2 times weekly, twice weekly. We check these. This is preventative. This is something the veterinarians don't know about goats. They're not telling you that. That's our standards, our organization standards. And veterinarians should be applauding that. Anyone who knows goats, everyone should be applauding that. There's a lot of things to do to prevent. The main thing is giving them adequate land, native plants, freedom to move, exercise to play, jump and play on hills of dirt and sand and gravel, and go through the woods and laze in, keep cool in a shaded hammock, while later on they're out going for it, nibbling on shrubs and bushes and vines and flowers and grasses. And you got to give them natural conditions. That is goat health care. Priority number 1. Acreage, forage materials, and of course the fencing to protect them within the acreage, to contain them, to keep guardian dogs in, and all. The fencing is a huge part of it, and we're spending tens of thousands of dollars, lots of efforts on fences of a class way beyond any government standards and cattle standards and such, way beyond theirs. Much stronger fencing, much taller fencing, angled extensions on each side of the fence to deny passage, to contain them, to exclude them, exclude the predators from coming in, to contain the goats on the inside. So we are fully dedicated to proper environment for the best health care for the goats, for the health and happiness and well-being of the goats and the dogs and the ducks and the cats and any other animals that we may have. All right, folks, so I'm going to get to work. Stay tuned, and please call us anytime. Join our community. Help us by just getting involved and communicating. Ask questions and come on out and pet these goats and take part, folks. We welcome it. Right, little goats? There's a little guy down here, hiding in his favorite little place. It's a little girl goat. guardian dogs and pups. A little pygmy. Here's another little white-faced pygmy. And look at this. That we call her Golden Rider. She's riding all the time on her mother's back. Perched on her mama's back. And here's Wilma with her little baby. Little bear, we call that little boy. Wilma the Weinheimer's little bear. Here's a beautiful Kiko buck. Lean here. Here's our big blue boy. Look at him. He's incredible. He's even got the blue eyes. He's blue with blue eyes. And this is Magnar. The original Magnar, the baby born down south to one of our first 3 goats, Newbie. The one that I took a bullet that went through my head, past my ear, and almost killed me years ago. Knocked my headlamp off as an 80-year-old man shot right at me. 45. Or something really high caliber, folks. I think it wasn't no 22, I tell you that. Anyways. Mama with her 2 babies, and Wilma with her baby. And what do we have over here? We have this beautiful Angora mama, this Spangora, dark Angora with her little black doeling and her little white buckling. And we have another Angora female over here, and there's a couple other goats here. This big one right here, she's the daughter of Smetana here, who has these 2 kids this year. And here's a couple little bottle babies here by this pup. These are weaning off milk now. They're getting milk less than 3 times a day now. They're growing up incredibly now. They're doing just great. All right, folks, stay tuned. Thanks for everything.